Please, Ken.
The point of the whole talk is that we are running into a peak oil problem. After peak oil, and no one knows that time exactly, we need to have figured out some way of providing mobility at small fuel costs. My prediction is that the price of petrol will be from $3 to $5 per litre.
Yeah, that'd be just that'd change society so much.
And there's no doubt that
How far do you reckon that's off on our current, maybe 5-10 years?
10 years. And the point is that the society will change dramatically.
Yeah. You'll have to be upper middle class to be able to use a car almost.
Yes, very much so. Only rich people will be able to buy cars.
Yeah. Or afford to use them, sort of thing, yeah.
And only rich people will be able to afford to use them unless we can figure out some way of satisfying the environmental requirements and the economic requirements all in one go. Now, it's hard for me to say it, but I think I have found that technology. I think.
All right. Are you prepared to say it, or you can't say it at the moment?
No, I can't say it.
Yeah, fair enough. There's money to be made. There's money to be made in it.
Yes, there is money to be made by those who can pick the right solution.
Now, before you move off from that point, there's a car in the US called the Tesla. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Now, at first I was excited about it. I thought they've got this electric car, and I think it's like it's got about a 4.5 second or something, 0 to 60 miles, you know, and they're saying it's like a sports car, electric, and you see it, and it looks sort of like a small, typical sports car. However, then upon further research, I realised it's still only like a prototype, and they haven't really put it to market, and they haven't really revealed all the secrets. So I'm thinking it could be just a publicity myth, and then they're hoping then after they get the technology in the next 6 months to a year, then release it with all that hype. See, and maybe even reduce the stats on the release one and say, look, oh, we couldn't do that for the road, so we did this. Because it's bullshit, man. Even if you filled the car up with lithium-ion batteries, maybe you could do it, but you probably wouldn't get that much time on them, you know what I mean?
The snake is with batteries.
And in a way, what they're doing is using Tesla's name, and applying Tesla's name as if it's an iconic development like what he did, but could it just be bullshit?
Now we must remember that Tesla was an extremely clever man.
Yeah.
He developed the alternating current system of electricity.
That's right.
Which we have today.
And I think Westinghouse originally, Edison didn't want to go with that system, and so Tesla went across to Westinghouse and started rolling it out with Westinghouse, and it went through the roof. And and other things. He developed the induction motor as well. A whole host of other inventions.
Lots and lots of inventions based on alternating current.
That's right. In that pioneering stage of a sort of electromechanics and electrotechnology, yeah.
Now, it was brilliant, and just how his mind came on that, we'll never know.
Well, I mean, in some ways, I'm not...
He did go almost mad at the end of his life.
But didn't he end up, like, selling his patents or getting financially a bit dudded over by the end? He didn't get all the money?
But the important thing was...
Oh, he's gone down in the history books.
At the end of his life, he went a bit funny in the head, and he went for this idea of transmitting electricity without wires.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Crazy.
I don't think it's possible. Yet you still get these kooks, because he was a pioneer and he did things at the time they thought weren't possible. It's people trying to apply, this thing that you think now is possible, like transmitting without wires, is possible. But yeah, I think it's bullshit, because you've got air there. It's not, people think it's going to react with the air. It's going to ionise the air all the way you travel,
yes.
When you send electricity down a bolt.
Off the planet type thing.
And in a way, in all reality, he might have known it was not possible, but almost wanted to sound like he still had an extra card up his sleeve on his deathbed. You don't know how they work. Yeah,
don't know.
That's right. But
But I see that removal of oil as the most basic thing because you can't make up oil. It's congealed sunlight. It was developed some 160 million years ago. I've got a video called Crew, which puts the position very well regarding where it came from.
Right. Now, what about nuclear power? Nuclear power stations to generate cheap electricity, to then have electricity stations all the way where you charge battery cars all over. What do you think about that? And also, I think fundamentally the notion of the cars, they're too heavy. You know what I mean? You can't have a big 1.25 ton vehicle. You really need to get it down to about 500-600 kilos.
That's right.
Add the people, 1 or 2 people, you've got a lightweight car. You're not pushing all this unnecessary weight. And maybe even make them smaller as well. There's no need for them to be so big.
You must remember that the people who are talking now are preaching the small car to get the weight down.
Yeah.
But the demand for people is, I think, a somewhat larger car. It might be 2 families, it might be 3 families, with a couple of kids or 3 kids, plus friends from school. So the idea of very small vehicles is probably not sensible.
Well, for single people, what if it's just like your second vehicle, you know, you're commuting to work? You don't need a full sedan then, you know? But I'm talking really micro cars, not even like a small car like you get now, a hatchback. I'm talking tiny cars, that almost like an enclosed motorcycle.
The city are not compatible. We know how to provide transport in cities without cars. We have bicycles, we have trains, we have trams, we have buses. So providing transport in the city is not the problem. The real problem is how do we provide transport in the country? That to me is the fundamental issue. How shall we, as citizens, get mobility in the age of post-peak oil when it's not that we're running out of oil, it's that the price of oil goes through the roof.